human body and at the same time represent so many and at the same time represent the forces of nature and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, my heart and my physical, I mean, it's a daily struggle to manage myself energetically. I was bedridden for about 2 years because it was just so intense as I was, you know, in this descent into hell and just planting a seed and creating global transformation and letting everything into my being to heal it and just handling the secrecy of it and the attacks and then raising twins. I mean, as a single mother, in the thick of all of this, here I birthed these 2 beautiful babies and, you know, what kind of reality check is that? You can't really get away with having delusions when, you know, you lived in the wilderness as long as I have and you birthed twins without a lot of finances and no stability from a man because they're all possessed by aliens. So, not the good ones. There are good ones. So, you know, it's an amazing place to be right now because I can actually, I mean, Facebook is a miracle. I mean, to have contact, all I've ever wanted to do is love everybody, and I've been blocked and unable to. It's like they've been messing with me. So the greatest gift that what the divine feminine energy feels like is all it wants to do is love. That's all. That love is so powerful, and it's all of ours. And, you know, it's like that's our oneness right there. And they kept me from that, and they've shipped people to misunderstand me and want to destroy me. And you know, just been very, very, very alone most of my life. And, you know, it's hard to talk without even, you know, crying. It's very, very real. And, I don't expect a lot of people to grasp it, but I think, you know, when you read what I've written and, more of this comes to light, it'll start to help my words fall into place a little bit more because I know that, it's new to me to put it into words in front of, you know, more people than maybe one-on-one with somebody I'm confiding in. So I'm kind of whistleblowing the exile of the divine feminine and what she's been through and what's happened. And women feel this. It's not just me. And men feel it too. And patriarchy isn't a male thing. You know, patriarchy is a force that has affected men and women. And some women are patriarchal. So it's not about, you know, a battle of the sexes. It's about really understanding, you know, our divine essence, which is male and female, you know, married, light and dark married, all these different things that have been ripped apart with a major blockage of manipulation standing in the middle, you know. This is the splinter that I'm removing that, you know, the love that everybody shares and the support is removing with me. And that's, I guess, what I could say on the level of divine feminine. It's very ancient. You know, there was a time where there was wholeness. And, I mean, there's numerous names. Kali, that would be the part of me that I accessed. The rage, when I traveled into the underworld, that was the hidden aspect that has sort of been controlled and Kali's extremely powerful, so it's not that it can be really controlled, it's just been really repressed and that's why the epidemics were sort of happening because that fire wasn't allowed to really, you know, transform and wipe all that away. And I remember doing the energy work of the anthrax scares and a lot of different stuff. I've been doing energy work on these levels for my whole life. You know, anytime there's a disaster, and even around 9/11, I kind of swept off my feet and taken on this sort of, you know, I mean, like this this alter ego. It's unexplainable. But I woke up that rage, and I knew that fire, you know, was transformational. And I'm still, you know, I have a lot under the surface. And I wouldn't say that it would be expressed as anger, but when I've been pushed and, you know, there's an extreme amount of rage there, but what is also with fire? Passion, transmutation, transformation. So in those Plutonian depths that I hold, you know, it can be expressed in numerous ways. And I think the rage needs to end because the rage isn't really helping. It's stopping the negative technologies. It's scaring those forces away. But at the same time, it needs to relax. It's way heavy duty on my heart. It needs to relax. It needs to just come out of the ground like that seed I planted and just sprout and spread that love, you know? I mean, there's a problem expressing myself because it sounds like me, but it's really an us thing, you know? And it's hard to sort of understand. It's similar to Eisenhower. It's like he had his position fighting this war, but it wasn't just him. I mean, every single person that put their life out there was a hero. So everything that everybody does, each role is specific and unique and important, you know? So just some of us are given roles that we benefit greatly just from support and the understanding that if anybody understands how Eisenhower was as a leader, it's very much about the well-being and the justice and the peace and the togetherness. It's not about domination. It's not about being right. It's not about being in control. And that's what he stood for. And he's some amazing quotes that I connect with so well about that. And so, I mean, that's a good way to understand, at least what type of leader I am of maybe the divine feminine energy. It's kind of like, how do I lead? I want to create leaders. I want to turn everybody into an empowered leader and creator and multidimensional being that they are, that has the freedom to access anything. All the loved ones that have passed by, that have passed on, death is there's no more room for that. All of this needs to go. So there's going to be an accelerated period happening soon, and these type of things are going to cease to exist, and that's part of the wheel of necessity ending and time ending. When time ends, the need for us to even die ends. We can just travel through a portal rather than lose our physical body, but we can shapeshift too if we want. I'm not going to project, what the future's going to be like, but believe me, if you have an imagination and you imagine being an artist with that imagination, that's the gift we're going to be given. And an adventure. It's always an adventure. So, are you still there?
Yes, I am. This is really fascinating, and I'm looking at this passage from your paper, from your article. It says, someone who has psychically read the Dalai Lama confirmed me as Magdalene Sophia just a year or so ago, and told me I was the only one who could open the gateway to our liberation. Could you tell us more about the gateway for our liberation?
Yes, well, there's something like wormhole. If somebody knows William Henry's work, I haven't really read that much of it because I haven't been able to read much, just because I've been able to browse, but it's like I've had to focus so much on, okay, well, what's happening in me, and, because I'm not letting any other frequencies into my being, I just need to hear me. But he's one person that really does understand the concept of, Philosopher's Stone, Jacob's Ladder, wormhole, stargates. And he's written a lot of books about Magdalene and the stargates, and, what that all means, and it connects with all the ancient archetypes, Osiris, Isis, and, so kind of the Venus thing going into it's like death and resurrection, similar to, what Christ went through. We sort of have a parallel thing of defeating death through love and rising and resurrecting. And Venus is also a Lucifer energy, but that's why it kind of mimics, when I said before, the Kundalini of the goddess has been mimicked and technologies have been created out of it to kind of overthrow it. It's very similar, and it's just very ancient and very hard to understand, but science is starting to really, it's all coming together. Physics, science, alchemy, astrology, architect. Everything's going to start to find relationships to each other. So it's not going to be, oh, here's a scientist and here's a mystic. Well, they're two totally different things. Or here's the Catholic and here's a Christian. All these boundaries are going to start to dissolve. So a stargate, in a sense, is the weaving of, crossing dimensions. There's something I call gatekeepers that, whether they're manifested as people or, archetypes, or, I'm not going to use that word too much, but just something that prevents one from getting to the next level of their being. It's like just like with any of those hero stories of initiations, of having to fight the Hydra. It's all very old like that, and myth does repeat itself. So there's been a level of initiation, passing through certain gateways, having to confront and deal with, this archetype, this aspect of the goddess. I've gone through Ariadne, Isis, Inanna, Persephone. They've all really shown themselves. There's the abduction into the underworld, but then there was a part of me that was willing to go. And then there was, the Kali, the fires that I awakened. And there was the Isis Osiris thing going to Mars. And then the Ariadne, the weaver, of the silver wheel, which has to do with the wheel of necessity. And she's the aspect of all of this that's most associated with time ceasing. So there's sort of been this weaving in and out throughout these dimensions to sort of, and you and I talked about this before, how we're all kind of, coming together, these dimensions. There's been major separation between all of them. It's been hard to access things like Avalon and Shambhala and the civilizations of Atlantis. Where is that energy anymore? People most know that, these things have existed. It's where are those the energy streams that allow those advanced civilizations to even exist anymore. So it's sort of when the divine feminine energy started to be destroyed, so did those civilizations, and we've been living in a very lower. It seems like we don't even get it unless we've just begun. I mean, we're polluting. It's like that knowledge and that ancient wisdom has died, and we're just like, oh yeah, we shouldn't pollute, or oh yeah, I guess that would ruin the ozone. And there's been many races of people on this planet and parallel worlds that, you know, we're connected to. They're a part of our matrix that absolutely understood this stuff. There's technologies that have been hidden that are so incredibly advanced, as you know, and so the Stargate is really just kind of returning us to those levels of higher civilizations, and to give us communication and connection back to